Alright guys, we're here with the 2021 Chevy Equinox, and we were hearing a little screechy, kind of like a scratchy sound when the wheel would turn, and I was thinking it was probably the hardware or some of the rust on this rotor, because that could be a issue. It rubs up against the hardware, so you have to knock it down. But it's the pad. It's completely gone. Look at that. Wow. And they just replaced these not too long ago. They must have a heavy foot. But I'm gonna take the caliper off and see what's going on under there. I was really hoping it was just the rust on the rotor, because you just break the rust off with anything, just hit it all the way around. But let's take it off. Let's see, what is this? Is it a 13? Is it a 13? No, it's a 14 millimeter. Let's find our 14 millimeter. Alright, so we decided to open up the caliper and look at the pads. So this is where the rotor was starting to rub really bad, is up top there. And that's the part, the little lip that gets rusty on the rotors. And these are original. These are GM parts. So let's go get the pads and put them in here. We're gonna have to knock some of this rust off. Alright guys, so we're gonna go get our pads. We just called to verify if they had them. When you do order your pads though, you see this number right here on the caliper bracket? That is the size of your pads, or the width, I guess, 300 millimeters or 325.1 millimeters. They're gonna need to know that info. So unless you have original pads, it's on the original pad, as you can see there, 300 times 26, whatever that is. But yeah, either take your original ones if the markings aren't there, or just look right here. But these are 300 millimeter, so we're gonna take these just in case. But yeah, just FYI for when you're ordering your pads. Guys, we got our pads, the hardware. That's the part number. Alright, this hardware looks pretty good, but we're still gonna switch it out. Alright guys, so we greased up everything, got our new hardware in there. Our old hardware wasn't too bad, but just replacing it. And then you got your little clips for your pads if yours didn't have them. They go in here like this, top and bottom. But I'm gonna get my piston in all the way, and then we checked our pins. They move freely. This is the time to grease them up. They feel good. So we're just gonna finish getting this piston in, and then we'll put the caliper on, tighten everything up, and then go take apart the driver's side. That's the passenger side right here. The warning tab goes on the inside of the rotor, or the hub. But alright, let's finish. That went in so smooth. Okay, drops right into place. We'll put a little bit of grease right here on these contacts, just a little bit, so it's not all dry. Alright, our bolt here. Put this in place. And this one is done, guys. We're gonna go do our other side. Remember, when you're done, pressure brake a couple of times to get the piston to come out. Put pressure on these pads, and you should be good. But okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, and then look, your markings on your caliper too, for the size of your pads. Well, this is the driver's side. These were about to start howling. Look at this, just like the other side. The inside one was going bad. Original part. Alright, let's change this hardware out. We'll take this hardware out, replace this, knock all the rust off of the rotor all the way around. all the way around. We're gonna just knock all that rust off, re-grease everything, put our pads on, and then be good to go again. Alright guys, let me get this top one out here. Okay, I got our new one, so we're not worried. Just make sure you scrape all the crud and all the rust build up. And then I'm gonna scrape all this extra paint off of the pads and the tabs, and then I'll install them. But, I was using the chisel to just bang the rust off. Falls right off. All the way around. Just knock all that rust off. Because then that rust is going to start hitting your hardware, and you're going to start getting a screechy sound. Like if your pads are worn out. So just loosen it up, scrape it off. These rotors still got life, so it's just the rust buildup. Alright, let's get these prepped. And we'll work on cleaning everything else up. These are the pads. I need to replace this rotor, but if you ain't got the money, you keep going a little bit until you get the vibration in your steering wheel. Alright, squeeze everything up, put the hardware on, and then our pads. Remember, this little tab here, this warning tab, goes on the inside of the hub. Alright guys, this one's done. One piece of advice: when you put on your hardware, make sure you stick a screwdriver in there and like really push the tab down in there. Because if your rotor is this rusty and you don't do that, it's gonna rub. So, and if your caliper catches when it's coming down and you can't close it, it's just this little tab here. Just kind of push it out of the way, and then you should be able to clear it. But that's it, guys. We got the pads on here. I didn't have to remove the caliper. I literally just took out this bottom bolt. Okay, but yeah, we got new pads on there. These were the old ones. Next brake change, they're gonna have to replace these rotors. But to keep going and without damaging them to the point where they're gonna have to replace them, we're just sacrificing the pads. It'll be alright. Alright guys, 2019, 2020 Chevy Equinox front brake pads. Pretty easy. 14mm. Alright guys, so here we go back to the passenger side, and I'm going to press the hardware down with the screwdriver, and as you can see, I installed that lower clip that I forgot to install, and now we're good to go. Squeezes it in there really nice. Get to the top. That's what I was talking about. Or else these little rust bumps are gonna hit that. But okay, we're done. We're just gonna press the brake a couple of times, get that piston to come out, make sure your lug nuts are tight, and you're good to go. And don't go crazy tightening these bolts. You're gonna end up needing a new caliper bracket, and the bracket sometimes doesn't come separate. So all right, let's finish it up. All right, our wheel lug nuts are nice and tight. We already hit the brake until we felt it get hard. Now we can brakes really nice. Now, the only thing they're gonna have to deal with though is there's gonna be a little grinding sound. Because their rotor got scratched up a little bit, and until the brake pad wears that down a little bit or takes the shape of that little groove, you'll have that little noise. But other than that, that's how you get around having to buy everything new, especially if you're doing it yourself. Alright guys, any of the grinding we were hearing before? You would hear it every time the wheel went around. So we drove it around the block, It brakes really good now, and he saved himself some money. This is how you can save yourself some money. You replace those pads, and then when you have enough for those rotors, you just change the pads again. That'll be cheaper. But alright, it's driving good.